Okay, so this is video number 2. Like I said before, I am just a couple of days away from my gastric sleeve surgery. I'm having it on Monday. It is now Saturday night. So I do feel a little bit nuts because I am on my liquid diet, the pre-op diet, which kind of sucks for those of you who have not gone through it yet. It does suck. The headaches are the worst thing. They last for a few days, and then after that, it's not quite as bad. Different doctors, I'm told, require different lengths of time for you to be on the pre-op diet, and different doctors allow you to have different things. I guess there's different protocols or whatever. For my particular one, I was on the full liquids for 10 days, and then I'm now on the clear liquids for 2 days, and then I'll take my milk of magnesia to completely empty out my stomach the night before my surgery. So like I said, a little bit nuts. But so I just wanted to basically talk about my journey so far. You like basically go through a month to month of what I went through, and hopefully it helps when you, because people are like, oh, a lot of people have been surprised by how much I've gone through or what kind of things that I've had to do. All of those little things. So I wrote myself some little notes so that I don't forget to tell you some things. But hopefully I can get through this pretty quickly so that I don't bog you down with all the details. So back in February of 2017, I weighed 264 pounds. I'm 4'11", so that's in the, I don't know, mid to high 50s on the BMI scale. Very bad. So this, as I had touched on my previous video, this was after an ankle injury. So I had ended up a lot higher in weight than I had ever been before, because my body usually likes to say at a 220 to a 230 range. That's like my what my doctor calls my set point, which is that range that your body kind of forces you back to anytime that you slip up on a diet or stop working out like a maniac. In April, after I talked to my orthopedic surgeon about what I can do to, delay the further surgeries that my foot will require, one of the major factors was my weight. So in April, I went to a seminar after going to some other doctor's appointments to figure out that, there really wasn't much other alternatives just because of the way my body works. That's the first time that, and I brought 2 people with me. I definitely recommend that you do that. Bring 2 people that you know will be super honest with you before you make the decision. Because of course I left the seminar and I was like, oh my God, I have to do this. This is what I need to do. And, those people, bring people that, will, kind of question it. Like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Is this something that you think, is there something that you think that you can do other than this? Like people that just, aren't going to dissuade you, but that know you well enough to know, what you may or may not have thought of yourself to ask. So May was my first bariatric appointment after I decided that, yes, this was something that I wanted to do. Went and saw my bariatric surgeon for the first time. I weighed in at that point at 250.6 pounds. So I had already lost 14 pounds. And the reason I had already lost some weight is because back in February when I weighed in at 264 was actually when I had gotten my cortisone shot just about a month before that. So I was finally able to get up and walk around a little bit easier. That started to help me a little bit with being able to just move, it was still really painful and stuff like that, but at least I could move a little bit. It gave me a little bit of relief for a little while. And that got me to be able to at least stand in my kitchen and make my own meals and eat something healthier than what my husband was able to provide me. my first nutritionist appointment was soon after that. And my first nutritionist appointment, we went over my eating habits. And the first couple of things I learned about myself with the eating habits. One is that unlike a lot of the patients that my nutritionist saw, my eating habits, my eating problem was not because I have an addiction to food. So I am one of those people that is not, and I think it made my struggle through this maybe a little bit less than I feel like those people that have a real food addiction or eat food for comfort or things like that. I sympathize so much with those people because I can't imagine going through all the things that I've gone through if food was something that I ate to comfort myself or help myself with stress, or because God knows I was going through so much stress. So my heart goes out to you if that's your reason. My particular problem was I wouldn't get hungry. So I would wait all day long, and then I would make a big dinner for my husband and I, and like over the course of an hour, an hour or an hour and a half, I would have 2 or 3 helpings of that dinner, which is like super unhealthy. So my very first month, my nutritionist's goal for me was very simple. Within an hour of waking up in the morning, I had to eat something, and something decent, something good. So, it had to be, have a packet of oatmeal, or have, some eggs, even some eggs on some whole wheat toast, something, just, put food in my body within the first hour of waking up. And then every 3 hours after that to eat something. And every time that I eat, have some protein. Okay. So those seemed like very reasonable steps, and they were things that I could easily accommodate for 1 month. So at this time, I also got my initial blood work done, because there was a whole checklist that my bariatric doctor gave me to get done. So month 1, got those things done. Now, month 2, I got my pulmonology and my sleep study done. I lost about 7 pounds before my second nutritionist appointment, just making those changes of eating at a regular interval. Okay. And at the end of that month, I got my diagnosis from my sleep study back saying that I had obstructive sleep apnea. So in July, I'm sorry. And at the second nutritionist appointment, that was when she started to give me lists of, okay, here's the foods that we want you to be eating. Here's the foods we want you to be avoiding. So that was my next change to my eating that my nutritionist gave me. Let's see. What else? Okay, so July. June. June. No, we're at July. Okay. Bleh. All right. So my third nutritionist appointment, at this point in time, this is when she started to introduce to me the behaviors. So this is really cool that my nutritionist does this. And I hope that other people's do it too, because I feel like this is really going to help me for success for after my surgery. So what she did was give me a list of things that I should start doing, like chewing my food thoroughly, taking my time when I eat, not drinking water 15 minutes before or 30 minutes after any meal. Just getting used to those things ahead of time for months, I feel like it's going to make it a lot easier when I have to do them after the fact. I don't know that it'll make it easier, but I feel like it will. Okay, and let's see what else. I had my primary care physician appointment at this time. I also got my upper abdominal ultrasound done to make sure that I didn't have any gallstones or anything like that. And then that gets us on to August. So in August, I had my fourth nutritionist appointment where we just followed up on all the things that I had already been doing. I, at this point, had been using a food tracking app like MyFitnessPal, and I had also gotten a Fitbit. Now, even though I couldn't do steps steps, which, I got some flack about from family members who invited me to challenges, and they were like, if you're going to get bariatric surgery, you need to be doing more steps. You're obviously not doing enough exercise. And I'm like, look, okay, I'm already down like 20 something pounds. Like, obviously I'm doing something. I was like, but literally the tracker, that you wear on your wrist counts your steps. It does not count like when I do chair aerobics, or I sit, or I sit and do free weights at home, or things like that. Because of my ankle injury, it limited the type of exercise that I could do, and steps just wasn't something that I could do. So I did get a little pissy with some people about that, and I really, really bit my tongue as far as not telling them off. For trying to talk down to me, like, dude, I wouldn't have lost this much weight so far if I wasn't doing some kind of exercise, obviously. I also got my halfway appointment visit. They were super happy with me because I had already lost 20 pounds because I actually listened to what my nutritionist did and did the things that she told me to do. I highly recommend that you do that because you want to get the most out of it afterwards. And if you do you put the most effort into it even beforehand, one might think, obviously, the logic dictates that obviously that means you will also get the most out of it afterwards because you're doing the work, you're getting yourself ready. I also got my CPAP machine at that point. I'm going to talk about sleep apnea in a completely different video because I went through a nightmare with that. So move on to September. I had my 5th nutritionist appointment. That's when we talked about my vitamins for afterwards. We started to transition into discussions about after surgery, the things that I'm going to need to do. I had all my I had a bunch of follow-ups that I had to do on certain tests and stuff like that. And then I didn't really do a lot during September. So October, that's my 6th nutritionist appointment. And I got my cardiology, my upper endoscopy. I got like a whole bunch of stuff done in October. That was like a huge one. And then I also had to get cardiology testing and like imaging and all sorts of crazy stuff. And then we get to November, which was my 7th and final nutritionist appointment. Yay! I was finally done. I got my mental health evaluation done. I got my results from my cardiologist, and everything was ready to be submitted. So in early December, they submitted all of my paperwork to approve my surgery to insurance. A couple weeks later, I got my surgery date of January 22nd, which is now only a day-ish away. And also what I did was during Christmas and stuff like that, I ate what I wanted. Now, at this point, I trained my body so well that it kind of rejected all sorts of things that it wouldn't eat a lot of food, but I did let myself have a tiny piece of lasagna and at Christmas time and, just little things. I let myself have the things that I hadn't been letting myself have for the last several months because I figured they're the last time I'm going to be able to really eat them, at least for a while. So in January, I got my pre-op appointment done. I got all my instructions for my pre-op diet, which I'm almost at the end of now, thank God. And I started doing all my preparation for after. I ordered my vitamins. I ordered, my clear liquid protein. I ordered my a case of my Premier proteins, made sure I had all those things on stock, sugar-free popsicles, sugar-free Jell-O, containers of bone broth because it has more protein than chicken broth. Right before my pre-op diet, the night before, my husband and I ordered pizza and subs, which because my body was so trained, I had a slice of pizza and 1/4 piece of each of the subs that we ordered because I couldn't eat any more than that at this point anyway. But at least I enjoyed a bunch of carbs the night before my pre-op diet. So there was a couple of things that, so that pretty much gets me up until this point where I'm ready for my surgery. So now it's just a matter of getting through this liquid diet, which I, have suffered through, but I'm getting through it. There's a couple of other things that I wanted to touch on about my journey, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those in another video. Things that I did that I think might set me up for a good success.